welcome back to another video. I want to give you a quick background on why we are reviewing this now. I have often recommended the Pixel 4a and other budget series phones like it, but there's always been the question on if the budget flagship phone is a better buy. You can currently get this S10 for the price of a 4a, or maybe even less. I've spent a lot of time with this phone since its release. I bought it new, but I decided to daily drive it now and see how the experience is in late 2020. So the question we need to answer in this video is whether the flagship of last year is a better buy than the great budget series phones of this year. Let's start off by comparing one of the key differences between a budget phone and last year's flagship, and that is performance. Now, I know this isn't always the case with budget phones. I know you might be able to get an insane budget phone for the price of this S10 with a Snapdragon 865 rather than the 855 in this. But here in the US, that isn't as easy, and the software experience might not be as great. Performance on the S10 is still phenomenal now. The Snapdragon 855 is still a more than capable chip, and with 8 gigabytes of RAM, I've had no problems at all. However, if you are a light user, for example, like maybe do social media and take some photos and that's all that matters to you in a phone, then this performance upgrade that you'd see in this flagship may not matter. But if you game or multitask a lot, the S10 might be the move because it has a great advantage here. One area it doesn't have a big advantage is in the battery life. A lot of used flagships suffer from battery degradation. The S10 in particular has a 3400 mAh battery, and it is not aged well. I average about 5 hours of screen on time, but I normally don't get any more than that, and I almost always have to charge at least once before I charge again at the end of the night. With budget options, like the Pixel 4a, I had much better battery life, but I did lose out on charging features. The S10, like the Pixel, does fast charge here, but this also has wireless charging, which I do personally value a lot. Worth noting is the similarly priced iPhone SE does have wireless charging on it. Let's move on to mix in a little bit of software into this discussion. So the S10 runs One UI 2.5, as you can see, which I really have enjoyed actually. In the past I haven't with Samsung software, but I really like it on here. There are a lot of cool features with it. But what is most important here is the software support. And the Samsung Galaxy S10 is included in Samsung's new guaranteed 3 years of software updates, meaning that this will probably get Android 12 as its last update, which is pretty good overall. But with the budget smartphones, you're going to have longer software updates because you're getting them newer, especially when it comes to the iPhone SE, which would have had it regardless. But the Pixel 4a has a guaranteed 3 years of software updates, and it will have longer overall software support because you're getting it new. In the past, budget smartphones have always lacked in the camera department when you compare them to the flagship models. But that all changed when Google released the Pixel 3a last year. Now we get flagship quality photos off budget phones like the Pixel 4a and the iPhone SE. The iPhone SE also has flagship tier video quality. However, I would argue that the camera of the S10 is more versatile. We have a triple lens setup without any gimmick lenses like the macro lens that you see in some other budget phones trying to look like the flagship phone. The ultra wide camera here is quite useful, and you can't get one out of the 4a or the iPhone SE. The overall images from the S10 are still very solid, even if they fall behind some of the current flagship phones. Okay, now it is vital to talk about the feature set and some of the aspects you get from a flagship that you won't get in the budget. The budget phones will have some of these features, but not one for the price of this S10 has all of these features. For biometrics, we have the ultrasonic fingerprint reader, which I personally enjoy, even if it's a little bit slower than the optical ones we've seen in other phones. The design and the display are top tier. We have a glass slab with aluminum rails with small bezels and a hole punch design. The display is a Quad HD Plus, beautiful OLED display, and even at 60 Hz, it is just excellent. The S10, like we said before, has fast charging as well as wireless charging and reverse wireless charging if you want to charge things like other phones or your wireless headphones. We also have an IP rating for dust and water resistance, which is something I personally miss on the Pixel 4a. The S10, unlike many flagships, actually retains the 3.5mm headphone jack, so that's nice for you audio enthusiasts. There is Gorilla Glass 6 on the front, we have micro SD expansion, and there are also more that I'm not noting here because I don't want this to take too long, but I think you guys get the point. In conclusion, I don't think there's a budget phone that is more complete than this S10. For you power users on a budget, this phone is definitely worth a look. The major downsides will be battery life and remaining software support. However, you can mitigate those issues with a few solutions. The Galaxy S10 still feels like a flagship experience in late 2020, with only the haptic feedback feeling less premium than the current Samsung flagships. I could use this phone as my daily driver for a longer amount of time without any issues. So should you buy this over the current budget phones? If you're a power user and or if you want a more complete option with many features, then I would say yes. You won't be disappointed by this. But if you're a user looking for specific features or you're a lighter user, then maybe a current budget option might be better for you. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Hope you all are doing well, and peace.